This is important for everyone to be able to say just no, because this is you, this is your life, this is your body, this is your emotion and everything.
Whatever happened to you in the past shouldn't define your present, shouldn't define your future.
That's an important skill to do for anyone, for any person, to be able to leave the past in the past and move on into your presence with an open heart. And I know it's not easy and it's very traumatic experience, whatever, but I'm not willing to bring that trauma into my present because I want to be happy now and I want to live my life now.
We do these like little shots on the podcast. This is a magic mind. It's very good for like focus and productivity.
I love it.
And keeping you like really alert. So I figured.
And there is no Novichok, right?
Oh no, no. This is all this is organic.
I'm sure.
I know adaptogen. There's like lion's mane and turmeric. So here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers, my dear. Amazing. All right.
It's very delicious.
It's very delicious.
Very delicious. Very cool.
Yeah, exactly. See, there you go. I'm the spy. No, I'm joking. Well, you never know. I might be. So you flee Russia.
Yes.
Where do you go?
First, after Russia, I flee to Turkey.
Turkey?
Yeah, Turkey.
Turkey. Okay. Why Turkey?
Because no visa situation. Like you don't need to have visa as a Russian citizen. So that was my first
And how old are
location.
you at this point? You're like...
I was 22.
22. And you're... Oh my God, that's so young. So all of this stuff happened when you were like literally a baby.
Well, baby for you, but for us...
Well, no, that's just funny, right? Like
it was like 18, get the hell out from the house, work and do your own stuff. Yeah, it was kind of like, we were adults.
You were very adult.
At 18, a man in Russia have to go and serve in the military for 2 years. So that's exactly when they said, like, when you're 18 and you go to military and you serve and maybe it will be war, whatever, then you come back being a man. That's what they said. This is kind of like a tradition.
Yeah. So that's also in Israel. You have to go to. You got to go to the army
and
as
women
well.
too. Yes,
and women too.
Yeah.
Exactly. So wait. So 22. So basically, you flee. Do you speak any? Case at this point, you said they taught you languages.
No, they actually didn't
Teach
well,
you?
we learn a little bit English, but just a bit.
But not much. Okay, so then you learned the languages later when you were
Yes.
going other places.
Yes.
Okay, so you go to Turkey, and now you're 22.
Yes.
And where do your parents think you're going?
So that was a time where we didn't speak with my parents because my father didn't like, and he basically didn't. So we had this like really bad situation in our relationship where they stopped talking to me. So we didn't speak with each other for quite a long time.
Why? Why didn't they speak to you?
Because my father wanted me to be an agent and work in the military, and I kind of like disobey him. And as an Asian kind of like Muslim woman, I always had to obey man, and that was the reason why I couldn't stand for myself and said basically no, or like beat the crap out of all these like rapers or whatever. I was completely like numb. And it will be in the second part of the podcast where I actually started to stand for myself after. And then it got me where I was like almost to my death. So I couldn't speak with my dad because they kind of like, ignored me as a daughter. So I lost connection with them at that point. So I was doing what I was doing.
But because your dad never knew you were in this secret elite sexpionage thing.
Sexpionage, no.
But
he knew that I was doing some missions, but he was highly, you see, like what I was
happy
doing.
about it then?
Oh yeah, he was happy because like everything was presented to him as, look, I was the best student. I got the diploma as the best gun shooter. I won competition. I was like, I got my high ranking much, like, I mean, like, you know, like you get ranks over time. So I got like the second one very fast. So it was like, wow, it's a privilege. He was very proud. And then something happens. He doesn't understand exactly what happens. And do you remember that part when my parents kicked me out from the house because the major, as a blackmailing, she called my parents and she said I'm a whore. I was dating this commander who was 30 years older.
That was like part
the
one.
moment. Yeah. So from that moment, I didn't speak with my parents. So whatever happened with me afterwards, they don't know.
Right. So because that woman told your parents
Yes.
that you were sleeping with the commander.
Yeah.
And your dad, and they were very upset with you.
Yeah, because she presented it in a way that I'm kind of a whore and I like seduced this poor guy.
Right.
And like, you know, I took over and he's married and he has kids and she's such a whore. She's doing that, you know, and I'm like, so I couldn't say anything. I couldn't like explain. So I was kicked out from my house and I couldn't speak with my parents after that, neither with my sister. So I didn't
You
speak
moved in with
them.
the guy, though, I thought, didn't you?
No, I didn't move with the guy. He rent from me a
That's right.
place. Yes, he rent from me a place. And then when he passed me over to another commander and I said basically him to fuck off, that was the problem which I had later.
So just so people understand what's going on, because
Yeah.
I know that if people didn't listen or know, so when things went awry with you and the commander, right, who you seduced to have on your side so it would be easier for you, when he fell in love with you, proposed, like you said, you kind of just like try to pacify the situation. That woman, the woman teacher, found out.
She was sleeping with him too.
She was also sleeping with him.
Yeah, she was his lover, yeah.
She told your parents, and you lived at home still.
I was living in the dorm in the academy.
Yeah.
But yes, I was kind of like I was with my parents, but I was like, when I was, when I was in the academy, I was there. But I mean, physically, yes, my belongings and everything, I was with my parents.
Right.
But when she told to my parents that I'm sleeping with a 30 years old older guy and I'm doing all these horrible things, my parents didn't really understood. My father wasn't home that time, so I couldn't really explain. So my mom, like, she kind of like being really, I think like she lost it. So she started to beat me up and she said, "You're no longer our daughter, like get out." And I just left without anything. So I didn't know where to go by that time. I came to one of my girlfriend, but she kind of like, well, she also was a kid, so she couldn't really help me with staying at her place. And I asked that man, the commander, the kind of lover at the time, that I need your help. I'm kicked out because of you. So,
and he put you in an apartment?
Yeah, he rented for me like an apartment, and I stayed there for a little bit till I found a permanent place to stay. But you know what, between us, I still think that it was all set up, to be honest, because look, he knew about my parents. He wanted to take over and control me more, okay? He had this intention to propose me. Okay, so he simply could ask the major, like, call her parents and say this, so she would be kicked out and she'll come to me.
Right.
So I'll have the total control. I don't know what really happened, but I mean, I think that was the truth.
Even though the girl I thought the woman didn't like you because you were sleeping with him.
Yeah, she didn't like me. It's a fact. But again, I don't know what kind of relationship did they have.
Yeah. And so
that's why I'm saying, like, women have to unite and support each other, not to be like opposite. And I was trying to explain to her, but she never let me to explain myself.
I think, I mean, I agree with you, but unfortunately, I think women are sometimes people don't like they pretend they're supportive up until your competition, and then when your competition, it's not good.
I wasn't a competition. That's the whole thing. Like, I was like, listen, I'm in the same shoes. I don't want to be with this guy. Like, he raped me and he took over, and he's like doing this, like, what can I do? I don't want to be like used, like I don't want my body to be used by all this single guy there, like
Right.
like I don't want to be like living your life. You're getting older and you have no private life, you have no kids, you have no family, you have no one in your life who really loves you. You give all yourself to the state, to the government, for whatever system, for no reason, and then you're destroying our lives, like the young generation lives. Instead of helping us, you basically putting us into this manipulative world. Like, why don't you want to like help us, you know?
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. They don't care.
No, unfortunately.
So then, okay, so then you're living in the apartment. Then when all that stuff goes awry, are you living in that apartment when the last target or last thing happened, where you were that who was paying for the apartment when he broke up with you?
Yeah, so basically, well, I had salary.
Okay.
It was enough to cover. So I had like really shitty apartment, to be honest, very cheap.
Yeah.
It wasn't something like lavish. I mean, everything, wherever people see in the James Bond movie, they're like, oh, did you also have such a glamorous lifestyle? I'm like, seriously, hello. That's a movie, guys.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah.
So I just rent like a very small studio, kind of like very, very small, tiny. So I had enough money to pay for it, and also money to pay for my expenses like food and all this stuff. So I didn't have car or something like that. I was just using bus. And then when the criminal leader appeared in my life, then I had actually a very glamorous, I would say, lifestyle. That was the first time when I saw all these, like, wow.
Now, how did that happen? Was it because the criminal was that your mission to become a girlfriend on the Russian side? Yeah. Okay, so how long did it take to become his girlfriend?
Okay, so that actually took a while. So that's coming back to your first question in the beginning, when you said like, how long does it take to make someone to fall in love? This takes time. If you really want to get relationship like solid, this takes time. And it's not enough just to be like, you know, flirty and confident, whatever. No, we really set up the guy. Like, that was a really good manipulative, strategic setup.
How did you do it?
Okay. Listen to this if you want to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's a lot of work though.
That's fine. We still, it's your story. We want to know it.
Okay. So, we found out, so we established naблюдение. Наблюдение, when you spying on someone 24/7. So you basically spy on everything the target does. Everything. Where does he go? What does he like? How does he talk? Everything, like everything. So for like about 2 months, me and together with my team, but wasn't by myself, we were spying on him. We found out that he was, and obviously we need to find out about his private life. So of course he used a lot of like kind of like prostitute and all these escort girls, you know, just like wherever in the club. But he really was in love once when, as I mentioned, when he was high school. It was his sweetheart, and the girl that time, she was coming from Central Asia, which is similar background, you see. So it's like also we kind of like had sort of, I mean, like there was a reason why they placed me also into this role, because I probably was like closer to his type. You know, everyone has a type. So they were dating. And then he went to the army at 18. So the girl, I mean, usually this is like girls waiting for boyfriends. And then when the boyfriend comes, they get married. So this didn't happen. So when he came back, she already got with another guy. So she started to date someone else. And it broke his heart.
Oh, wow.
Then moving later, he became a criminal, blah, blah, blah. And he became this like, you know, violent criminal gang guy, whatever.
Right.
But what we did is basically we created, you see, like what you can do, you can create around your target a virtual reality, his dream land, a dream life. How do you do it? you can manipulate the whole environment by creating this certain science which will trigger his memory without him understanding. So it's like unconscious triggering. So what we did, for example, we found a few couples, women who would be kind of like similar looking, very far, but like similar looking. And the guy who would be younger, like much like 20 years younger, like him, looking like him, but 20 years younger. But the guy would wear a uniform, that particular uniform where the Russian guys would go to the army. So we would put these couples like in different areas where our target would be. So for example, if he would go to the restaurant, he wouldn't like look at them straight, but on the back of the eyes, like of the gaze, he would notice, unconsciousness would notice this couple. So in the first time, the couple would be just like, you know, hanging out, like kissing each other, like basically creating like a pure love, almost. Then a few times, like we repeated that. Then another time, another day, very similar couple would be where they kind of, she would be pregnant, like, I mean, pretended that she was pregnant. And the guy was with her, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like next step of the relationship. Then another day, another place, another time, the couple would have a little baby. So they would be holding their hands with the little newborn baby in the carriage and all that, like, you know, kind of like happy family, kind of. So slowly we were preparing his mind, not even his consciousness, but his unconsciousness into that dream relationship which he never had.
With the woman.
With the woman he was in love once.
And the one that he was seeing it with, did she look like the woman?
They look like kind of like Central Asian and all that. You see, like there in Soviet Union, there were a lot of countries like Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, and all this stan.
Yeah.
Women there, they a little bit like Asian looking. They're not like particular Asian. So I'm Asian looking, but I'm not like that Asian.
Yeah, but you look Asian though.
I don't?
You do, yes.
Yeah,
you do.
I do.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So all these countries, they actually do look like because, like, you know, the neighbors such as China and Iran and all this. Like, of course, it was an influence, and also the Genghis Khan was such an influence to all these nationalities. That's why they're like Asian looking. Even like Russian ladies, like Russian women, they have like high cheekbones, even though they're blondes and blue eyes, but still they have like high cheekbones. That's the influence.
Yeah, that's what you look like.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah. So,
yes.
So then you guys, what's that technique called?
Well, it would be like, it wasn't like a particular name or something. It would be just like environment manipulation. So it's basically when you can create the whole this virtual reality.
So how long did it take time-wise?
It took a while. Because all the preparation and all that. I mean, of course, like I had a good team to prepare all that. I wasn't doing this by myself. But my role that time was to observe and learn as much as I could about him. Because when I had our first meeting, our first interaction, I had to be so prepared in order him to like me in the beginning. And it was so important. You know, this moment when you meet someone and you have like, they say like butterflies in your belly, and you have like this bubbling, something like sparkling inside of you. That's what I had to create inside of him. Emotions. That's what man wants, and everybody wants. They want a real emotions, a real touch.
Everybody does. It's.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah, I would think so. So how long from the first date until you guys became a relationship?
So the number one technique, and I always tell it to everyone, and that's what was our thing. Never, ever sleep, have sex with your target if you want to build long-term relationship with the target. It could be like, you know, your future husband or your future boyfriend, whatever. If you want one night stand, of course, like go ahead and just
do it.
Do whatever you want straight away. But if it's something which you want to kind of like build and create, like for the long term, never on the first date, even if you like. So, of course, I was playing, I was flirty and all that. So the first time we met, I just went home, and then we were like having this like text messages kind of like conversation.
They text back then?
I had do you remember Nokia?
Yeah, of course,
like
Nokia, of course.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had that.
Little phone.
Little phone, yes.
So how long were you guys back, how long were you?
The whole game, yeah. The whole game took me about a couple weeks, but we went
That's not very long.
That's not very long, but it was intense. So we saw each other quite often. So it was kind of like playing this, this girl.
2 weeks only, then you move in with him?
No. No, not move in. The first intercourse, the first sex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So a few weeks, like we had this kind of like dating kind of thing. Then we had sex. And then move in, it was, I would say, in about like couple months.
And how old was he?
He was 45.
And you were 20?
I was 19.
You were 19. Mm. Wow, okay. And so when everything went awry, how did it go awry, though?
How did it go what?
Like, how did it, what happened? You said, your rush... It went. It exploded in your. It basically just.
How did they find out that I was a mole?
How did they find out that you were a mole?
That's a very long story, to be honest. But also it is very complicated. Very, very kind of like connected to different single parts. So, okay, I'll try to make it simple. The commander, the second one, who was my direct commander.
Yeah.
Who was that gross, disgusting man whom I said no.
Right.
Who sent me to this deadly mission. He was the one who wanted to get black cash to be basically bribed by the criminal gang, which actually gave money to cover the criminal whatever cases, whatever they were doing activity, to another government person. So this commander wanted to get money for him. Okay, so he wasn't getting anything. So that's why he wanted to do the whole setup.
Got it. Okay.
To do that, he had to somehow rid of the main leader because the main leader was paying to another guy. See? So it was the whole thing, the whole kind of like operation where my commander basically was doing that, not because of saving the country from the drugs and sex and human trafficking or whatever. He was doing this for his own benefits, for getting money out of that.
Got it. I understand that. And so, okay, now when you flee the country,
yes.
So then you get him killed.
Yes. Not me, though. I didn't kill him.
I know.
That's at least something I didn't do.
You didn't kill him. You get him killed. You flee the country. You go to Turkey. Now what? How are you making money? Who's protecting you? Are you alone?
Nobody protected me that time. I was by myself. Money, I had some savings. And before Vladimir's death, the criminal leader, he gave me some cash as well. So I saved it. I was in Turkey first, and I met some people, and it's all about networking. So he gave me a bunch of, before his death, he probably knew, he gave me some of the names who would help me. I contacted them when I was already in Turkey, and then they helped me to move into next countries, Greece.
Oh, how long were you in Turkey for?
Just for a little bit, like a few months.
Oh, and then you go...
I didn't even have visa there.
Okay, so then how did you get... So then you go to Greece, and then are you on your own now, trying to build your life, or...
Yeah, I was by myself, basically. Well, kind of like, you know what?
Did they let you go, the Russians? Did they say goodbye? Or how did it end? Like you just fled without them knowing? Or how did it go?
They would never let anyone to just go. Oh,
Right.
you know what? I changed my mind. Bye.
I know. So what did they say to you? Or you
Okay.
just left? You didn't tell them you were leaving? Or
all right. I'm telling you right now the most biggest spoiler. But I think like, if people will listen to the podcast today and they would not understand something, then they will come here and will understand
right.
basically what really happened. So when I was working on the last operation, I collected a lot of secret information. The information which is basically revealing the whole corruption system on my commanders that time.
Okay, though you didn't like.
Yeah, so all of them basically.
Yeah.
They all were connected, they all were bribed, and they all got some money and everything. When I was working on the last mission, I got all this information.
Got it.
So I had it and I didn't release it to anyone, because when all this mess started, and some of my colleagues also were killed because it became a mess, I kept everything for myself. And then when I realized that my commander was involved and actually he was the one who started all this, mission, I came to so basically I was called to the main general of the whole ministry. And I told him, I said, this is what I have, including your name. Mm-hmm. Do you want it? Or I can show it to someone else.
Right.
So, of course, he asked me, what do you want? And I said, I want my freedom. But he said, listen, you're one of the best. Why don't you stay here? We give you a much higher ranking. Mm-hmm. We give you much more salary. We give you, a great apartment, like a government apartment. We give you everything you want. We send you to vacation, wherever. But you stay and work with us. I mean, am I so stupid to continue doing that? Of course not. And I said, no, absolutely not. I want to get out. And then we were basically, you know what? I would say he didn't want to do it, to be honest. But then I kind of manipulated on his love to his own daughters. You see, it's also part of seduction, manipulation, and art of communication techniques, where I asked him, do you have kids? He's like, yeah, I have 2 daughters. Was one daughter was my age. And I said, do you want, if you would want your daughter be on the missions like I was, do you want her to be to set her free, or you would want her to work in the system? So it's kind of I think that moment he kind of understood, and maybe he put me that time because of my age and everything into her kind of shoes, and maybe he kind of had this maybe parent feelings. I don't know, but it really helped me. And that was the moment when he said, all right, but you have to leave the country ASAP, ASAP. So that was my ticket to my freedom. That's how I did it.
And so, wow. So then
I just gave everything to him, and I get the fuck out of there. That's all. So
they technically did allow you to leave.
Well, they did allow me to leave by exchanging all this secret information.
They didn't say, have a nice life. They're just if you give them the information, they'll let you go.
Yeah, of course. I don't have any evidences on anyone.
Right. And so then you go. And then how do you start making a life for yourself?
Slowly.
And your parents aren't talking to you at this point?
No.
By the way, is your mom, both parents alive still?
Yeah, they're both alive. They live together, happily married, thank God.
And do you talk to them now?
I do. Of course I do.
Okay,
then
now
we established again our relationship, and I actually started to see them in Turkey. So they would fly to Turkey, I would fly to Turkey, and we would see each other there.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yeah, because I don't go to Russia.
Right. You can't go to Russia. You can't go to Russia at all.
Like I probably can, but like the question is like, why do I want to risk? Like what's the point of risking my life for what? It doesn't make any sense.
So
why do I need to be there?
Right. So then you've never been back to Russia?
No. I was at the point before 2009, and then I completely left.
And then, wait, so what year did you leave?
Completely. Like after 2009, I would say like 2010, and I completely left. Like I never came back.
Okay, so wait, you left 2009. Hold on a second.
Yeah. So because you know why? Because my son was born.
Wait, who? Yeah. By the way, who was the father to your son?
That's another story.
That's a whole other thing, right?
That's another story. That's most, I think, you know what? Military gave me kind of like a knowledge and foundation of like being, I would say, not like strong, but being kind of like focused maybe. But what happened after that completely, it was the most difficult time of my life. I would say like that. The most. Like military was difficult, but not that much as that time, because that time it was just a disaster.
And what you mean the part when after you left and you had to figure out your life?
Well, the father of my child, that the tragedy would happen with him and my whole family. You see, I thought that I quit. I can start my life. I'm still very young, right? I was like just in my 20s, in the beginning of so I thought like, I'll just pretend this never happened, and I'll just start to live like from the clean paper, just like nothing happened. And I was dreaming of having family and 3 kids, a house, 2 dogs, and having this
like
house
a regular
life.
Traditional.
Yeah, and I wanted just to be a wifey, sitting at home, raising kids, and like being like this wife. And then they just didn't let me, and I lost the only one hope for this life, and I never actually had this experience. And if you ask me now, would I want to have it? No, because it's already too late. I gave up.
Wow, wait a second. What year did you flee Russia?
Okay, so my son was born 2009.
He was born 2009.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
So that time when I was pregnant, for the whole of my pregnancy, I was in Switzerland. I lived already in Switzerland.
You left in 2000 okay, wait.
No. I left earlier.
What year did you leave Russia and you fled?
So completely gone and never come back. Never, ever, 2011.
No, the first time you fled to Turkey.
Oh, it was 2005.
Okay.
Yes.
Then you go to Turkey, then you go to Greece.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mostly lived in Europe, but I would go to Russia like maybe just very like, I don't know, a few days maybe.
And they let you come in and out.
I never had a problem with the Russian government.
It was the mafia government.
It was a mafia guy, but I would never go and be like public there. I would go do my little things and go out.
And then
So I mainly lived in Europe.
You mostly, okay. So then when you went back in 2009, okay.
Yeah.
Why were you going? Just to see your family? What was the reason for going? Like what would be?
Kind of to see my family as well. And my son actually, so I was thinking that I would give a birth of my son in Switzerland.
Who's the dad though? I still have no idea. It's like pulling teeth over here with you. I mean, God. Oh, my God. Gosh, who is the father of this child?
It's hard to say.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so you don't know
Jen,
who the dad...
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I just want you to tell me, so I want you to be honest with me.
So the father is that.
Is dead.
Yes.
But you don't know who it is?
I know, but he's that.
Okay.
That's like the whole another story.
That's a whole... Okay, but he's not a criminal or he is a criminal?
No, he wasn't a criminal.
He was not a criminal. He might be a criminal? You're not sure?
No, he wasn't. As much as I know, he wasn't.
Did you meet him in Switzerland?
I met him I met him actually in Turkey.
Oh, in Turkey?
Yeah. That's how all these things got together. Yeah.
And then
that's why actually I was like there, living there, and then I met him, and then it's all kind of like got together.
So you know who he is, yeah, obviously.
Well,
of course. I mean, well, so what does he do? What did he do? Who was he?
He was very connected to the Russian government as one of the, I would say, like this oligarchs type, having Russian government kind of like premises. And okay, so what is after 1991, when a lot of criminals, they started to privatize the government land, factories, lands, everything basically, like whatever it was. That was the time when a lot of oligarchs appeared. But before, they were just guys. And then they would find a way to privatize all these government premises for just $5, for example, right?
Yeah.
And then after Putin became a president, blah, 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 the country became stronger and economically stronger.
Yeah.
Then apparently these lands became like, worth fortune. Then all these oligarchs appeared out of blue, like Berezovsky, Abramovich, like Deripaska, and all these big names.
Right.
And
was he a billionaire, this guy?
Well, not that time, no. Not like a billionaire. But he was working with like big names. And so what happened, all these oligarchs, like not all, mostly of them, they started to invest money, Russian money, into European or other countries' businesses. They would buy lands, houses, villas, yachts.
Yeah, that's how, their yachts are everywhere.
Not anymore.
I mean,
Yeah,
but,
not anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the time of, let's say, golden time of Russians. They would go to like Monaco and Saint-Tropez and like give tip a waiter for like $1,000, $5,000.
Yeah.
That was the time. That was my time when I got out of the military and I was involved into this world a bit, kind of like as a
what?
Well, as a girlfriend that time and as a future wife and whatever. Like,
were you like a hooker back then? Were you trying to be like? Were you kind of like an escort to these guys back in Turkey to make a living?
No. Okay. I was pretending that I was like in a few operations when I was back into the Russian military. I was pretending that a couple missions. I think not like I think it's a 7th episode where I had the first mission and the target thought I'm a prostitute because I was sitting alone in the bar. And I was like, it's actually really good for me because he would never understand that I was an agent.
Right.
So I was kind of like a prostitute, but in fact, no. The Vladimir story, I was introduced to him not like an escort or prostitute. I was introduced to him as a kind of like just a go girl, like the girl who would go to the club and just have fun, like just like this like student kind of
like a
type.
Club girl. Yeah, like a fun club girl.
Fun girl, like just hanging out, like and like student, whatever.
Right.
So I was introduced to him this way.
Right. Okay.
So it was perfect legend. Later on, when I met the father of my son, I was basically introduced like I was not even introduced. I met him by myself. It's just like we were in the same hotel, so we were staying in the same hotel and we just like met each other in there, so we never were introduced. It was just like a normal meeting, so not like escort or whatever, but it's just.
Was it a total coincidence? It wasn't planned?
No, it wasn't planned.
Right, so it was like you just met him.
I didn't know exactly who is he and what does he do. No, nothing.
It
just like was, I guess, a destiny.
Right. And who was he? How old was he? Was he older?
He was, of course he was older. He was that time 36. And he was good looking. And young, good looking, ambitious, driven.
Like a regular guy,
yeah,
really.
I would say why not? It's just handsome, tall guy.
So what did he die from?
Okay, so unfortunately the problem is that I could never make a professional autopsy because they never allow me. It's like you heard about Navalny death. So some of the poisons over certain time, over especially after 3 days, certain poison can dissolve in the body, and you would never find out what was the reason the person died from. And when this happened to this guy, the problem was that I knew, because I did my own investigation. So on the cameras, so I left him just for 1 hour, and when I came back, I saw on the cameras, after all this happened, I saw on the cameras that he was approached by two men wearing black. I couldn't see their faces because obviously they would come from behind, so cameras would not spot their faces. And they had a conversation or something, and they had this sort of small fight where I think that he was either poisoned through the meal, or there's certain injections you can easily inject, and you feel straight away feel it really bad. So the problem was that he went to the hospital, and then the hospital, when I spoke with the doctors, they said yes, he has a big poison, but we don't know what is it exactly. So they couldn't estimate it. In 1 hour he died, literally in 1 hour. So I couldn't make straight away the autopsy, even though I persuade them to do that. Yet they didn't allow me to do anything. So they were waiting for another 5 days. And then after 5 days, because it's a weekend, it's this, it's that, blah, all these stupid reasons. So eventually when they did it, they said, oh, it was basically heart attack, blah, blah, the blood flow, all this bullshit, another bullshit, how, tell me, how a young guy, absolutely healthy, can die at the age of 37. It's not possible, right? And the reason, and that moment I was already, so the FSB guys, the agency, I mean, the one where I used to work and all that. So
what does it stand for, FSB? What does it stand for?
FSB is a Federal Security
Bureau,
security organization. It's kind of, well, they basically, they're two. I mean, before it was KGB, Комитет государственной безопасности, which is kind of the committee of the government security. Then after 1991, they divided it kind of on two organizations, and they call it into different names. One which is FSB. So when I was contacted by them again, asking me to come at the department at 8 a.m. And obviously I understood that if I would come there, I would never leave in my freedom. So it was you know what, that was the moment, exactly that moment when I left and I never came back. That exactly was the moment.
Oh, wow. So, okay. So when did he actually die? How long were you dating him for, first of all?
For about 2 years.
2 years. And so do you know now, what do you think the reason was that he got, do you think that so you think he got killed?
Yeah, because because I definitely know what was the reason. The reason was that, do you remember the Olympic Games in 2014 in Russia, in Sochi?
Mm-hmm.
You remember?
Yes, I do.
So what happened after the Soviet Union was dissolved in 1991, and all these oligarchs privatized illegally all these lands and everything, my former guy, I mean my former husband, he had a lot of premises like that in his ownership, where he didn't, I mean of course they were partners, and I remember all of them, but the problem is that they didn't find the solution where and how to so the government, basically Putin, required all these lands to be back to the government, but
right.
they already been owned by like several years by certain individuals.
Yeah.
And obviously they didn't want to give it back. So there was like certain fight between the government and oligarchs and like all these like kind of like businessmen.
Right.
And during this fight, obviously who would win? Obviously the government. So those who started to fight, they either drop that, either run away without properties, either they would give back. So unfortunately, my guy at that time didn't want to negotiate.
Right.
And didn't want to lose at the same time the properties. And that's what his destiny was in the end.
Wow. Okay.
It's all about money and land and, properties, business.
So then, he died. Did he die? He died before he even.
Before
you met. Did he meet your son? Like, did he?
No, of course he knew. Of course, because that time I was already pregnant and like our son was like 1 year old.
How old was he? How old was your son? Sorry.
1 year.
1 year when
Yes.
he died.
Yeah.
He was 1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're a single. By the way, were you married to this man?
No, I wasn't officially. No.
It wasn't officially.
No.
Okay. Have you ever been married?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
Who were you married to?
Look, I lived in like different countries, and I would say, okay, so you asked me why I'm not dating now. It's because of this reason. Because every single time I would go and date someone, and then they would fall in love, and at some point, with all these like relatives or people around us, they would like stand with the knee, with the ring, and propose me. I wouldn't be able to say no.
So you just keep on getting married to people.
I was like, still like, so every single boyfriend I had, I would get married.
So how many times have you been married?
5 times.
5 times?
Yes. I know. I don't know how did it happen, like, but yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so how long was each marriage?
I would say my longest was 4 years.
4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That would be like the longest, and the fastest was maybe like 6 months. The fastest.
And okay, how about this? When was the last time you were married?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. But where? Were you in Europe or?
I can't tell you that.
Really?
No.
Why?
Well, it's kind of like connected to like my life nowadays, just because it's all kind of like getting into the what I'm doing now. So I'm like, I don't want to put like any spotlight on those men because first of all, they're my friends. We have really good relationships. We still speak I still speak with all of them, and we say each other like happy birthdays and happy Easter and happy Christmas or whatever. And like we kind of like, I would say we still kind of like keeping our good friendship.
All 5 of them?
Mostly of them, yes.
Okay. Most. Okay, which ones? Okay, but they're all in Europe, you said.
Well, in different countries, like some of them they moved. Like one is in Singapore even. It would be funny. He would listen. He would say like, "Oh my God, again!" You're like,
my, really? Okay, so one's in Singapore. Where's the other 4?
One in Greece.
Okay.
One in actually in Russia now.
In Russia?
Yes. Happens.
Where did you meet him?
I met him actually in Russia before the whole thing. So
before what whole thing? The whole spy thing?
Yes, before I actually got into relationship and everything, I met him, and then we kind of like, so we were friends, and then we kind of like started to have sex, and then he fell in love, and then he proposed. So
wait, hold on. But this is like you were a spy in Russia from 18, let's say, to 22. You were in that thing.
Yes.
So did you meet him before you were 18?
I met him before I moved out to Turkey.
Oh, before you. Okay.
Yes.
So how do you have time between all the targets and the operations and the commander that you have to have sex with?
No, commander, I never think it was much earlier. That was when I was back into the school in 18.
18,
yes.
But then how long was that relationship for?
you see, like, that's the whole thing. Like, so with the first husband, we actually been like friends maybe just a couple months.
No, the commander.
Commander, the first one who actually like
the one that
abused me.
loved you, yeah, who like
So
who basically
it was like a year because I studied there and I wanted to have my protection while I was.
No, I got all that,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to think of all the guys. So the commander, when did you meet this
That was
other
so many
guy?
guys. Like, I don't even
so
want
many
to.
guys. I mean,
I even don't want to remember.
honestly, I mean, have you like? I mean this in the nicest possible way. I mean, did you ever get checked for anything, like because you're
STD?
having STDs?
Every single few months, always.
Like, you're lucky that you never
No,
got
it's
anything.
not lucky. It's first of all, you need always to use condoms.
You were using condoms all the time?
Yeah, I mean, like, no, with husbands, no.
No,
but, like,
I don't
with
mean that.
husbands,
I mean just with all these.
No, of course, yes.
Okay.
Number one, and second, you know, the funny thing that I don't know, do they have it in America? Like, so in Russia, they
Yeah.
used to have, they still have it. There is a liquid which basically protects you from any STDs.
Really?
Yes, it's almost, they call it like liquid condom. I actually told this to some people here in America, and they said like, "Oh, we never heard about it," but it's actually really great stuff.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they have it here. That's a good idea, though.
I think, you know what? It's a prototype of.
You should do it here.
They must do it. It's absolutely. And you know what? Another thing is, I was thinking that we had a really great, very strong vaccination there. Like, that
Which
was a
one?
special vaccination, which is from a few STDs, actually. Like one, I don't know if I say it right, papilloma virus or something.
I know what you're saying.
So that the something like that.
I know,
so I
papilloma.
had like while we were there, like working and everything. So we had all this like special, I would say, vaccination, which basically made us almost like a superpower special human beings. But at the same time, we always protected ourselves. So like when I say about like this liquid, I would carry this liquid every single day in my bag. It was like the number one. So you could spray all your organs, your mouth, everything, and you always would be clean. I always check myself. I never had any STD.
Wow, so you would spray this liquid where in your mouth?
Like your mouth if you would do like the oral sex, and your like genitalis. Yeah, even for men it also works. Now everybody will be like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this liquid? I will not tell you because then probably I will do the merchandise.
You should make, I'm not joking, that's a good business, that's a good business product. That's a
Maybe,
good.
yeah. It's actually very cheap in Russia, you know. It's
How
like
much is it?
I'll tell you, it's $10.
Are you joking?
100 milligram, yeah.
Why
$10.
don't you bring it to America? I'm not. You'd make a fortune.
Let's do it together.
I swear, I would do it. I would totally
Let's do it together. No, but seriously, that thing really helped me a lot. Like, and I think like everyone. I mean, having those.
Wow, I never even heard of that before.
Really?
No, ever. Yeah. Okay, so then this guy that you met in Russia, you ended up marrying him later on in life?
Yes.
And where is he now? In Russia again, you said?
He's there, you know, having his life, whatever.
So then what did you do for your case? So then what did you do career-wise? Like, so now you're just having relationships, you're like kind of figuring out your life. Now what happens? Do you have like any dreams and aspirations to do something?
Yeah, of course. So the point is that man are man. They come and go wherever. I never ever in my life focused on man as my sort of income, like source of income, never. Because this is, I think, like the most stupid thing for a woman to rely on man as a source of income. And I always strongly recommend every single woman, whoever, I mean, it's great to have a partner and husband, boyfriend, whatever, but you need to have your own income. You need to have your own profession. You need to have your own savings. You need to have, ideally, your own property where you would know, even if you live together, you can rent it out, you know, and put the money somewhere to your future, I don't know, wherever, trust or something like that, or kids' education or whatever. But you know that you have the foundation. This is number one.
Mm-hmm.
All my life I would save money, you know, all the time. And the second important thing with women, and that's what I always do, it doesn't matter how many times I was married or like how many guys I had or whatever. Like my main achievement is my, not even like I would say like, yeah, I love my son and everything, but it's not my main achievement. My main achievement is my education. So as you asked me before, I was always studying and learning new things and always going into different universities and programs and all that, because as more skills you know, as more confident, as more professional you become. And this what really makes you a different person, a different woman. Because a lot of women come to me, they say, oh, I want to meet like this wealthy guy. But the question is, are you that woman with whom he would be like also, interested, and are you valuable for him? Because you want certain level. Are you in the same level? Because if you're not in the same level and you want this level, like there is like, okay, it could be sort of like sex interaction, whatever, but like what will be the next? Would he be interested with you talking about like the weather and like bags or wherever, or like the food? Like you, after sex, it always comes to conversation. What can you deliver? What can you put on the table? You see, like I know that I'm by now quite good asset for a man. They know it too. And now what I have also, that a lot of men get intimidated into, because they see that I'm kind of like high level in terms of my knowledge and my contacts and connection and the way I am. And this is also like the good thing. So I'm going and reaching certain level, and I hope I will never stop. And living in different countries, I would go to different courses and universities and learn all the different languages, different stuff. So in London, I got my master degree. Eventually I got my,
in what?
Master degree in branding, marketing, PR. So that was my first stop.
Where did you go to school?
So it is top actually universities, because the point when I mentioned I always wanted to work in fashion and I never had a chance. So eventually when I moved to London, myself, I got enrolled into this Istituto Marangoni, which is like top 5 universities in the world in fashion industry. And that was my first step, where I started to work in the fashion industry and organizing events. Because I always kind of like, you said about events, like I love events. And I found really, it's like it became my passion. So I started to organize events for different charities in London, but mainly the charity for royal family, the British royal family. And I would invite all these beautiful people and all that, but great sponsors. We talked about that before. Mm-hmm. My sponsors were like Chopard, Rolls-Royce, Cartier, and great brands, where I would bring my women. That's how I established my club, Women Empowerment Club. And we would
What's it called?
It calls like, I call it like just Roza Club. Roza is like my second name. So it was like in the beginning in London, it was almost like the place where women would come and like have a good time, meet each other and become friends.
Like a social club.
Kind of like a social club, but at the same time they would buy something, right? Like, and all this like stuff, they would be like quite expensive. But the 10% would go to the charity. And over time, I was doing this for like 4 years. Over some time, I was invited to the Buckingham Palace. Actually, I met Queen Elizabeth before she passed away, and King Charles.
Wow.
That was for me a big achievement. And that was for me was like a wow, moment when I shook the hand of King Charles, and I was like, just like, and we spoke a little bit. And I feel it as, it's just great feeling when you came from where you come, right? Like being almost killed and used and wherever, and now you're standing with King Charles and shaking his hand. Like how amazing life is. It's incredible.
It is crazy how that happens, right? Like
it is.
You kind of like, not you, I'm saying people can really create their own destiny, right? Like you can't be focusing on what happened to you in the past. You got to like be super bold and go out, chase what you want.
That's the main thing. And I'm very, very grateful that you mentioned this. This is, I think, a lot of people ask me like, how did you do it and all that? I think because, I don't know, is it KGB techniques? Is it like whatever techniques? But that's important skill to do for anyone, for any person, to be able to leave the past in the past and move on into your present with an open heart. And I know it's not easy and it's very traumatic experience, whatever, but I'm not willing to bring that trauma into my present because I want to be happy now and I want to live my life now and experience and feel and just go within. And I don't want to, bring the negativity and, like this darkness into my life.
Yeah, I think what you're also, it's about, people don't need to be in the KGB or a spy to be resilient, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe for you, it taught you resilience. It taught you how to have grit. But like it's well known that the most important character trait to be successful, and by the way, not even economically successful, I'm talking successful across the board, is to have the ability to fall and get back up again over and over again and have grit and just keep on going and just be resilient. I mean, if it takes being in the KGB or being a sex spy or whatever, I mean, it is your story, but I think the big message is that should, whatever happened to you in the past shouldn't define your present, shouldn't define your future. And it hasn't, obviously. Like, so you basically kept on pivoting into like this world of like fashion, events, all these other things. By the way, how come you've never written a book?
This is the next step.
But why now? Like, why didn't you do it 10 years ago or like 15 years ago?
Because, honestly, like I never wanted to share my past. Never. I kind of like wanted to, as I said, like if the Russian government wouldn't approach me constantly, and if the Ukrainian war wouldn't start and I would lose like members of my family and see all the suffer, and then now we have this Israeli war, which is like the worst thing, and now I'm really scared for like even the third war possibly
I know
can come because it's too many bad negative energy and like fights going on in the world. It's like balance. If we are not in balance, people feel it, and then without even us willing, but we will have this kind of like reaction. So I hope this won't happen. That's why I think as soon as possible, we need to do anything to stop at least one war, at least, because we can't. I mean, like we cannot afford so many wars happening right now. It's not just like about paying taxes, but it's about just our balanced energy around in the world. The book, why I didn't do it like before, like 10 years ago, I will tell you, I wasn't sure that would be the right thing to share what I'm sharing right now. And I think like I didn't have power enough before. It's like when you are not ready. It's like my son was too young. I was only one parent. I was scared for him because he was like baby. Now he's 14. I teach him, if something happened with me tomorrow, he knows exactly what to do. And by this time already right now, I know that no matter what will happen to me, he will survive and he will be successful because I raised him a certain way, and I know that he will be mentally stable and he will be okay without me being there. So now I'm not kind of like scared to lose my life, okay? Before, I was so responsible that I wouldn't even drive fast the car because I was only one parent. So now, because he's getting stronger, older, I feel like, okay, now it's the time where I can be more, I can open up and I can go.
Did any of the husbands know that you were a spy?
Now they know, before they didn't.
They didn't know when you were married to them?
I never really shared, like, I just said that because, like, you have to reveal certain things when you get married, blah, blah, blah. So I actually said that, well, I was working in the police. I would say like this, just like a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all. So I never really went into like sex espionage stuff. I mean, as I said, like revealing this part of my life, it's actually also cut me off a proper, good, nice guy to date. Mm-hmm. It's a quite past for a man
is,
to.
But I also would think this, like, do people believe you? Because it's a very outlandish, crazy story. And you get people who are, I would imagine, people would be like, bullshit. Like, this girl's full of shit.
Yeah.
Where's the proof? Let me see it. Like, for people who are skeptics, like, what do you even say to them?
Well, number one, first of all, I always, when any journalist, even like Neil, when they come, they always ask evidences. So I always provide my birth certificate. So you ask me, like, what's your, I can show it to you here if you want to, but not for the camera, because then it will relieve my surname where my parents under their surname. So the only one thing what I'm scared of is actually their safety, because they're still in Russia. So I always provide my documentation, my archive certificates, my archive documents where I studied, I worked there and everything. I provide like some photos. Some photos actually was released in social media already. But yet, yes, you're right. A lot of people say it's bullshit, I don't believe in it and whatever. But listen, I mean, what can I do? You don't believe it, you don't believe it. Like, I mean, like, I don't believe that Santa Claus exists. Or maybe somebody believe him. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not for like me proving like it's true or not true. I'm telling my story not for that. I'm telling my story for, like, as I said, like, first of all, many reasons, but the main is like to send the message to the female young generation that despite anything, you can still succeed and make your life to be the dream life. Because I feel like my life can be a great example of living the way I wanted always to live. I cannot say that I'm completely fully fulfilled in everything I do. I still want certain things in my life, but I'm getting there. I'm working on it. I'm like,
No, of course. I mean, listen, I understand everything you're saying, but I just know, like, people, well, not everybody. I mean, they're going to be skeptics no matter what. You could be an accountant at
whatever.
At a company.
Yeah, black and white. I mean, whatever. We have opinions.
Do people ever like say, like, okay, for an example, like, I don't know, like very specifics, like tell me about poisons, like give me what poisons are you going to use, like, can you talk more in detail? Like, I know for a book or for a movie, they would want to know very specific things because they'll be liable if they give you something. How do you prove it? Do you have to name like a bunch of poisons, or like?
I shared like some of the poison stuff.
I'm just making up. I'm just randomly making up.
No. Of course, like, so I shared like everything I knew from like poison stuff and everything in the podcast, actually. So we spoke about that. But like real kind of like things, I think like my evidence really is my expertise. Because as I said, like I have students, I have certain books.
Yeah, what students? You skip on saying students.
Yeah.
Okay.
So over the time after like setting up this women empowerment club in London and everything.
What year was this about?
It was so after I graduated in 2007.
Okay.
I established this club and I started to do these events, and slowly I kind of like created this community of women. And then slowly we started to be kind of like, friends, and they would come and ask me advice about the relationship.
But they don't know you were ever a spy?
No, they didn't know. And then when I started actually to share it publicly, they would be like, by the way, you know, like, you need to help me. I have this and this and this. So I do sometimes like private coaching. I wouldn't say it's like very often I do this. It just takes a lot of my time, which I don't have because I'm very busy always. But some certain like women, I do coaching, but mainly what I did, so I just wrote down all the techniques from how to make the guy to approach you, like 20 seduction techniques. If you like the guy and you don't know what to do, how to make him like to approach you.
Kind of like the pickup artist, but for the females.
Yes, but in intention, not just having one night stand, in intention to make him to intrigue and fall in love, because that's the most important, right? Like, I mean, anyone can seduce anyone for just one night stand. Who cares? How to make him to come back, how to make him to be intrigued, how to make him to be interested in you. That's the question. And the number one, yeah, you can tease, but you never give yourself straight away, like, okay, take me, I'm like here for you, like whatever. Because once the guy will have sex with you without building the value first, he will not come back. And this is the most important thing, what I also like share to the young generation, because like they're like, oh, I like him, he likes me, let's have sex, and then voila. He won't come back. Like, before you build that value and his respect, he won't be interested. He will be like, okay, it's another body. Then another one. You know what I'm saying?
Especially now. You see, like, no one's dating anymore. Have you not seen what's like? Look at you, right? Like, people are not having.
I'm not dating for a special reason.
But what I'm saying is, I'm just saying, people aren't having relationships. They're dating.
Yes.
They're not having relationships because now with apps, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter. You're just another number. Next one. So it's even more important now than ever to have the tools and arm yourself with the emotional savviness and wherewithal to know how do you entice someone.
To build emotional bond. That's exactly what I wrote in the couple books, this like digital books, like books. Ebooks. And I shared in my website, Today for Spy. That's so, no, it's basically like I share it like through my social media, whatever. And some like video classes where I'm basically explaining how everything works from A to Z, how to meet the guy and also understand this is the right fit for you. Because a lot of women, unfortunately, they don't understand and they waste a lot of time on a guy. And then after realizing that it's not the right guy for you, they wasted like a few years. And it's so important because this is your time. Time is precious. It's the only one thing which is the most important in your life, time.
Exactly.
So when you understand and realize like this is the right one, this is not the right one. So you kind of like understand who is who. And then you focus your energy.
How do you figure out how do you figure out? Like,
for me?
No. If you're going to give people a piece of advice to see and how to figure out who the right guy is to target, right? So you're not wasting your time. How do you figure it out? And what is the number one thing to do to entice him? But you cannot say eye contact.
No. Eye contact is only for the beginning, for the physical seduction. If a woman wants to understand if he's the right fit for a serious relationship, for example, she wants to get married or she wants to have a partner in her life, what I do, I always ask about the man goals and dreams. It's very important because my goals and dreams has to be similar to his. Because if we have different sort of goals, there is no future together. What is the future? Like he wants to, I mean, you know, like everybody has their own thing. And what he's really, and also sometimes also like, unfortunately, men can say not real intention and goals. So he may lie just to present him in a better way. You know what I'm saying? So he can say, oh, like I just want to also, it happened to me as well. That's why I didn't stay with my ex-husbands because they would say, yes, I want the same. I also want to do impact to the world. And then in the end of the day, they would just like, oh, let's just watch Netflix and let's just relax. Like the world can wait. Who cares? Like, whatever. Let's just like do nothing and like live a consuming lifestyle, which I cannot do.
Right.
And it's just like not in my
DNA,
whatever. Like I just can't. Some people are okay. Everybody has their own goals and dreams, but this is not my dream. So I want to be there and I need to fly. If you're not flying with me, you're dragging me down, I can't allow that. So, you'd rather be by yourself and do whatever you want, but let me fly and do my thing, because that's my mission in life.
Right. So you ask that right off the bat?
Absolutely, yes. Why would you need to waste your time? In the beginning, you meet the guy, you ask him like, what do you want? What are your goals? What are your dreams? The good thing also to ask about his, like when people are real, when they go back to their childhood, that's like really cool thing, because also the brain connects yourself with the childhood memories, which are mostly the most happy memories in everyone's life. And when you ask, like, when you were a little boy, what was your dream? So that would be the truth. Because mostly like men would be like, oh, I just want to buy a car, blah, blah, or a house, or like have $1 billion in my account or whatever. But it's all like, it's all materialistic.
I agree with you. I also think that people say the most trite things like, I just want to be happy. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is your happiness?
Yeah. Like, give me a little bit more.
Everybody has their own happiness.
Exactly. I want to be happy. That's so like vanilla. Like, give me a little bit more. Like, how are you going to be happy? What's your strategy for happiness? And what happens when you're not happy?
Yeah.
Like, so you got to, like, also, I would add, right. So you're trying to go to like some place in their life where, emotionally, it was a beautiful time when they were a child. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Unless they had a bad childhood.
Well, rarely they do, but like when they had a bad childhood, then you don't want to attach yourself to bad memories, to bad, like,
right.
So it's better to kind of like leave that space.
But how do you know if you ask that question when
but
as
you
a
ask,
child?
like when you meet someone, usually how the conversation starts, like, where are you from? Like, what's your profession? Like, do you have siblings? Like you slowly getting into the family kind of like routine. So, and it's very important what family did he have, because then it will reflect his presence, his like family kind of like presence nowadays. And then when you go back into his childhood, you understand, was it like a happy childhood? Was it not? Like, what's the background?
Yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of red flags. So women need to listen more on the date rather than talk. Because if you want to find out who's the right fit for you, like, listen more and then ask more questions about the childhood.
You and I could be friends, I'm telling you. Yeah.
I love that.
No, yeah. It's a lot of the things that you're saying. I mean, yeah. Okay. How are you making money today? Like, what is your, like, how are you making money?
Well, I would say, like, I don't make that much as I wanted to. Okay. I would love to make more, but I'm getting there. I would say, like, I just, you know what? I never, like, if you ask me, like, what's my dream? My dream is not, like, to buy, like, a exotic car or, like, a house or something like this. I really don't really have any materialistic attachment. And, like, everybody says, like, oh, like, you have so much clothes. You probably have so many, like, all this, like, big wardrobes and everything. Like, in fact, no. I just swear to God, I have, like, just 5 bags. And, like, just, like, really small wardrobe. So all I have on Instagram and everything is just promotion, or they give me, or they lend me, or whatever. So I do make money mostly, I would say, on coaching. And the second part is, but I cannot really use it now. That's what happens. So before, when I used to live in Europe, as I said, I have my properties. But at the time, I bought properties, like an apartment and a house in Russia. But that time, there was no war and everything. So I would rent it out. And I would have just enough money to cover my costs and live in different countries, but, like, not like lavish lifestyle, but again, like, just like a normal basic lifestyle. But it was enough. And then I was doing these events. I was getting a little bit money there and here. But what happened now also with the Ukraine war, you know that Russian banks are switched off from the SWIFT. So I cannot use these Russian rubles anymore. I cannot even like through cryptocurrency. I mean like the crypto money.
Crypto, yeah.
I cannot do it either because like now they closed down all the platforms, so I cannot basically get money out of Russia. So they basically stored there, and I mean like what can I do? I'm like whatever. So mostly yes. So it's like basically my coaching, Instagram, kind of like promotion sometimes. Like you know like when they do, I'm going to Cannes Film Festival, so I will do dress gown endorsement, like or jewelry endorsement over there. That's also like another source of my income. So mostly that.
Because those things. So yeah. So the coaching, the courses. Because
like digital marketing.
Digital marketing.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I thought you had a PR company.
That's what I used to do in London.
That was the London thing. Okay.
Yeah, that's why the PR company did these events and all that. But it's still in the internet. But yes.
Yeah, and then how about like I also read that you want to be an actress. Is that accurate?
You know what? Like, not really, to be honest. But like, what happened was my friend introduced me to a film director. They were doing a movie. And actually, I was that time in Miami, so I was like, okay, let me try. So I kind of like, I went to audition and they said, oh, you would be perfect. Why don't you play with, that time it was a great actor who unfortunately passed away at 63, Tommy Lister, the Tiny. He played in the movie Fifth Element with Bruce Willis. The big
I don't remember
guy.
I think. Oh, yes. I do know
he played like president, and it was his last movie and the last scene with me. And I'm like, so the movie actually never been released because of his death, and he actually died because of COVID.
He did?
Yes. Like he got really sick, and he just died in his apartment alone.
Okay,
at 63.
So you don't want to be an actress.
Well, I'm not kind of like, look, if they will come to me and say like, there's a perfect like role for you to play an assassin, I mean like, yeah, cool, why not? But this is not my
goal.
My goal, yes, it's not.
What is your goal?
My goal is to build orphanage.
Besides that very, very altruistic thing.
All right. So my goal is actually, you know what, like, I will tell you, I want to make things that makes me happy in my kind of like in my field. So what makes me happy is speaking with you right now. I love doing this. I love to share my thoughts and everything. And it's kind of cool. I think it's cool to, it's also part of like coaching. So you share your knowledges, you share your skills. It's kind of cool. So I'm thinking of so I've done a little bit, like couple times I did like public speaking. I did like one speaking in United Nations. They had like a charity event. So I, against sexual violence, it's exactly what I'm standing for. Like, I mean, against sexual violence. I would like to do this more. So I'd like to do more like public speaking events and participate as a public speaker. That's what really makes me happy, to be honest. And I would love to travel the world with this mission, and particularly to do more like maybe charitable work, helping, again, young female being in a difficult situation, like sex trafficked or wherever. Like it just kind of like makes me happy as a human being. Money-wise, I would like to maybe set up more, more products and make it run, so I have enough, also like money to pay for my expenses while traveling and so on. So it's just like kind of like making like my life work, but in a way I would say, you know what, like I'm not interested of earning money if this money will not help me to spread the message where I'm going to, because I don't see myself living an amazing house and just going to the gym, spa, shopping, and restaurant, and that's it. Like I cannot see myself doing these things.
Right.
I'm not happy doing these things.
Right. That doesn't make you happy.
No.
I have a bunch of ideas that after just talking to you for the last God knows how many hours, what I think you should do. The first thing I would say, the speaking thing, I think your story, if you can create a keynote speaking a keynote speech around it, I think would be really fascinating. But I'm not even joking when you said that thing about the liquid condom. Like, I actually believe that could be like a multi-billion-dollar product.
Yeah, but
because
I cannot do it by myself.
No, but you don't, of course, by the way, no one's successful on their own. No one works in a vacuum. Everyone needs teams. But
yes,
I do think, like, when you were saying, right when you said it, I'm like, I thought to myself, I'm going to look into that, because there's no possible way that that's not in America. That is such a smart.
They must have something.
Well,
they must.
I mean, that to me is like a no-brainer. And then, and then I would also see this, you are like partnered with Neil Strauss, but having that female version of what he did with the game and the pickup artist. Yeah. Because I think like I don't really know of a female version. That was such a successful.
It was.
So it was so big.
It was.
And I don't think that stuff, I mean, yeah, maybe it's like not PC, because it's like the whole Me Too movement, God forbid you like say anything out of sorts, but I think that's like a huge business.
I think for men, it's not anymore because of the Me Too situation. Yes,
but for women, it's huge.
But for women, it's huge. That's what. And you know what? Like, I love inspiring and empowering women, to be honest, more, because like, I mean,
I think it's a really great thing that you should like. I think that's a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, just how like, I don't think that ever goes out of style, like dating and like love. Everybody wants to find love. And so many people are so unable to be unstuck because they are their own worst enemies. And if they can figure out a way to kind of get beyond that and figure out a way to, unstick whatever that is, or like unlock that thing, like it's a major, major industry and business. And I think they have someone to like help shepherd it. It's a massive thing. And then the other thing I have like all these ideas for you, but I think that selling your documentary, like doing a documentary.
Yeah, I spoke about it today morning, actually. Yeah, they want to do documentary. It would be great. I mean, like, I would love that, because it would be also another level, another sort of tool to deliver my story and hopefully inspire young generation.
But also, I think, forget about that part. I think they have different like buckets. You could have a bucket that's for like altruism and to give back. But I also think that not only can people learn from what you're saying, because I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I also think there's a fascination with anything that is like spy. That's why like Mission Impossible did so well, like Black Widow, Red Sparrow. Like, people love these movies because people want to see themselves in that role. It's like kind of like
being a superhero.
Yeah. Like, it feel like people like want, like, why do you think I wear my Wonder Woman necklace, right? Like, I feel like I want to be a superhero, which is why I wanted to talk to you.
Yeah.
But I think that like there's so many things that is so interesting about all of this stuff. But
yeah, it's like, I would say recently the world is a little bit shifting, thank God, thanks to like women empowerment move. But before, it was all about men, and like women, like being really in a kind of like hard position where they wouldn't have even right to vote, or wouldn't have right to speak out and everything. And the whole world was about like man, it's a man's world, and it's a James Bond. But why there is no character of like female version of James Bond?
Well, they do have some.
Yeah,
they have Salt, which was like a one-off.
Yeah, but it's one-off.
It. I know, it was a one-off.
Yeah.
They have the Black Widow, which never really kind of,
kind of like progressed.
It didn't really progress.
Yeah. Now they have Barbie.
They have Barbie, but that's not the same.
No, it's not.
Black Widow, not Black Widow, sorry.
The Red Sparrow?
Not the Red Sparrow, because that was also a one-off.
Nikita?
Nikita.
Yeah.
They had that show Nikita on forever.
With Maggie Q, I love it, yeah, but...
And Alias, they had Alias. That did really well.
Yes.
And then the other thing they had was Wonder Woman, and like all those.
Yes, Wonder Woman. Yes,
that did really well. I think that people.
Wonder Woman is actually, you see, like the how to say, like, I love Wonder Woman, but the point is like still yet like she was unhappy woman.
Yeah, I know.
But she couldn't like be like, you know what I'm saying?
Totally. But what my point is, little girls want to see that as a character that it gives people, like little girls, this idea like I can do it. I can do whatever I want. I can be whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm strong. Like listen, you're talking to a person who wrote a book called Strong is the New Skinny. I mean,
Yes.
I'm all about like
Strength,
being strong and strength, but also having your feminine. But it's hard. And
be also feminine. That's so important.
So important. But people lose it. Like, I meet a lot of women who are so successful and they are so strong and they're so impressive, but they have very little femininity and they're so masculine that it's actually it's uncomfortable for me. Like I feel
even
weird.
For
you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine? Like, but people need to, like, women who are strong need to sometimes learn how to balance, because it's amazing that women can have this much success and strength.
Yeah.
But a lot of women have to learn how to balance it with femininity to be truly like as impactful as they want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. It's like so important. And that's why, see, like that's the whole thing. Like all these women, like including Wonder Woman and Black Widow and all this, like they were so strong. They are so strong, but they were always like themselves. There was no like partner.
They were always alone, but they also always had like a femininity to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
they weren't hardcore.
Good
like
man.
They were like that Clark Kent, like, Superman. Like he was Clark Kent and he was Superman. Like they were able to disguise their superhero-ness.
And be like a feminine woman,
And be a feminine woman. They weren't a superhero 24/7. They were a superhero when they needed to be a superhero.
Yeah.
But then they were able to pull it back and then be much more of a softer character, so to speak, right? Or more vulnerable. Because like I think a part of what people are attracted to in life, I guess, is vulnerability.
I totally believe. I agree.
Right? And when you don't have a vulnerability, like it's very hard to like really root for somebody and like them, right? When they're just all bravado.
Yeah, psychology, like when you don't have flaws, because we all have flaws.
We all have flaws and nobody's perfect.
No.
You know what? And I was going to say this and I'll let you go because I know it's been forever and we can come back and do another 10 podcasts. But what I always found interesting with everything I've seen, you never felt or ever seemed or played a victim. You never played a victim. Yeah, you. Like, you don't have a victim mentality.
Oh, I will explain you why. Because if you have victim mentality, you obviously will attract abusers and manipulators. And this is also when, like, students come to me and say, like, why am I like in this abusive relationship? Why he's like doing this? He's cheating on me or like beating me or whatever. It's because like it starts from us. Like if you have like victim mentality, that's exactly what, even though they are not, but they will do that because you kind of like provoke them to do this. So they feel it and they start to do these things to you. So the most important, of course, is to get out of this victim mentality. But you know what? I think I was a victim when I was in my 18s. And I think like I got it out. It will be in the second part. There is a beautiful moment, which I love. And I think like I'm very proud of this moment when I could stand for myself and I said no. So when I was raped and constantly abused, I couldn't say no. I couldn't stand for myself and I just let them use my body. When that commander, the second one, the disgusting, gross motherfucker, sorry.
Yeah.
When he's like, come on, like, suck me or whatever. And I literally said, no. That's it. Like it was just straight, strong, short, no. And from that moment, I started to stand for myself. And if I don't want to do something, I just say no. And this is important for everyone to be able to say just no. Because this is you. This is your life. This is your body. This is your emotion and everything. If you don't want to do something, just say no.
Yeah. Just saying. So sometimes easier said than done. But that's
because
a good point.
Because people live in fears. And fears really kill everything. They kill your future. They kill everything, like your goals, your dreams. And yes, I had to pay for my no because I went to this deadly mission and I was sent to the war and I was almost killed and everything. But again, this no made me who I am today.
Wow. Well, everybody here has to go listen to Die For, first of all. I love your story, and I think that you're a very lovely person also. This is more content than your entire To Die For podcast. I just want you to know. There's more content on this one podcast than the entire season of To Die For. But I think you're great. And I really enjoyed having you on this podcast, and I'm sure we're going to end up seeing each other again. I have a feeling.
Yes.
I have a feeling.
Yes. Of course.
Where do people find you if they want to know more about you?
Anywhere, really. Like, they can go to my social media, which is Aliia Roza with double I. I was just like, put like Roza with Z and you'll find me. And I'm mainly on Instagram, to be honest. Like, I don't really use any other social media because, like, I don't know, I'm just stuck with Instagram, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's the age. I think that like certain ages go to certain things. Like, that's what I think. But thank you guys for listening, and thank you for being on it.
Thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
I need to know your daily habits and your daily routine. So let's start from what time you wake up. What do you do every day?
I wake up, depends from my meetings. I can wake up at 5, 4, 10, whatever. Then the first thing I do is I drink a glass of water with lemon juice. And I say, so this is important to say because, you know, water is also alive and it's an energy. So I say to water in Russian, but like I will translate, I say, thank you so much for everything. And please give me health and energy. And sometimes, as I just said, like today is an important day because I would need to do this and this and this. So it's basically I put some sort of, I set up some goals which I need to
in the water.
Succeed. In the water, yeah. So I say it to water, basically.
Okay.
Maybe it sounds weird, but that's what I do.
No, it doesn't sound weird. In fact, actually, someone gave me a frequency card where I put my water on this frequency card, and it changes the energy of. I may have one for you. I can grab it. I think I may have an extra one.
You might want it. Yeah, it's that I believe in that because, you know, like these scientists, they made like this research when they were saying to water like bad things, like I hate you, or like swearing stuff, and then they froze the water, and then it became like all like really bad, like crystals.
Oh, I didn't see that. I saw they did this with a plant, like two plants. One plant they talk nice to, and one plant they talk mean to.
It's exactly how with water was.
Really?
Yeah, same. And like when they were saying to water, like, I love you and all the positive things, then the crystals were really beautiful when they froze it. Yeah. So it's similar things. Like it works everywhere.
Yeah.
With plants, with kids, pets. I mean, like pets love me. All the dogs are mine. All the cats are mine. Like birds, everybody.
Really?
Insects, yeah. I mean, like all the time. Whenever I go to the shop, to the store.
Yeah.
Moment I walk in, there would be a lot of people, even though it was empty, then it will be so many people coming into the same right moment.
Really?
And after me, it's always a line. Yeah. So I bring a lot of like people, energy, and whatever. It's just, again, like it's about your vibration. So it's about what you are inside. Because again, we consist 80% of water. That's why water is so important. That's why I just flew from Florida. I went to the ocean almost every day. And when you swim, so unfortunately I can't swim in this ocean, it's too cold, I can't do it.
Freezing.
But when you swim, you also say exactly the same. So you swim and you say, thank you, be grateful. And then, because like it's kind of like reflecting to your body because you have 80% of water, right? So you say thank you, it's almost like thank you to yourself. And then you ask for what you want to ask: health, beauty, use, productivity, like energy, positivity, like love, whatever you want. And you just kind of like, you have to say it loud. It's not just inside of you. You have to say it loud. So I basically speak with water. I mean, it's crazy.
You talk to water?
I talk to water,
Okay, that's fine. Is that your big habit of the day?
I also drink coffee.
Okay, you're allowed. It's okay.
Okay, so quickly, my habit... Okay, so another habit which I do, I always say compliment to people wherever I go. Doesn't matter, like waiters, parking guys, neighbors, kids on the street. It doesn't matter. Like you have to say good things to people. It's just like also kind of like reflecting. It's like give a smile, the smile comes back to you. It's also another my habit. It's actually a seduction technique.
A very good seduction technique. I love that. Anything else that you can add? That's okay. If there's not, you don't have to just to say it. But those are two good ones.
Yeah.
Those are good.
Masturbation.
Yeah. Is that your third one? Is that your third?
Okay, I'm joking.
Are you joking? You don't have to say you're joking.
I cannot do it every day. Sometimes I'm just tired. I don't have time for it. But it's good to keep the blood flow, women. It's good to keep the blood flow, even though you don't have sexual partner every like all the time. But you have to take care about your body.
I love that. So there's 3 good habits. Thank you. I love that.